Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jamie Love. I'm going to be going live today with a guy named JC. He's the Chief Media Manager and a partner with the organization Mucus Free Life. And he has studied with the world's leading expert in the practice of the mucusless diet healing system. Hi. So we're going to bring him on and we're going to have an amazing discussion today. I'm so excited. Let's see if I can figure this out. I wish they made it a little bit easier to do this.
What's up, Jamie? How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. Can you hear me? Do you hear a background fan or is it going through
I
my
have a fan
AirPods?
on too. I can't hear yours. Do you hear mine?
No, all good.
Okay. This is the only part that sucks about living in LA without air conditioning is the hottest days of the
I bet. I
summer.
bet. Yeah, it's ruthless down there. How long you been
We're
there
we're
for?
well, I've been in LA 6 years. California, I've been here for like a lot longer. But I lived in the desert before here. It was really hot. At least the weather here is a little bit more stable.
Jeez, yeah, the
Yeah.
Eden of the West, I heard it was called.
Yeah. Where are you?
I live in Washington. Yeah, a little bit up
Oh,
north, Pacific Northwest. I've been in the Pacific Northwest for some years. I lived in Oregon for like seven, just recently came back up to Washington.
let me just put this thing down. Just look kind of in the picture here. There we go. That's a little bit better way. That's beautiful. Have you been to the Hoh rainforest? Or that's Oregon, right?
I actually never heard of that. No, that's awesome. The whole rainforest.
I don't know if it's Washington, but it is gorgeous. I want to go up there one day.
Yeah, and I'm
Do
gonna add that to
you
my little
do
list.
you go on like hikes and stuff? Do you do things out in nature?
Yeah, I used to do a lot more. This is I'd say a really, really like business oriented period of my life. And
Mm,
that period of like traveling, like I see it on the horizon, but the universe is like,
yeah.
just do just a little bit more, just a little bit more,
I'm
and we'll
I'm
let you
right
go.
there with you. I'm so focused. I feel like I have zero social life right now, but I'm like, you know what? It's gonna pay off. Like, we're building our purpose and we're being of service to people. So it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so tell
Exactly.
me a
Yeah.
little bit about you and your story, your background, how you even met Professor Spira, and how you even got like found out about the mucusless diet healing system, and yeah, how that came into your life. Hi, guys.
Yeah, so I found it from like a spiritual angle. So when I was around like 18, 19 years old, I ended up dropping out of college because I just started to, experiment with meditation. I had my own personal experiences and made me go like, wait a second, like I don't think like what I know is as real as I thought. So I wanted to explore that. And throughout that time, I also started to see the very first like vegans I'd ever seen. Like it was a concept I heard about, but I found them on the internet. And one of them was actually the person that taught me meditation. And so over the course of like 6 years, I just kept like, well, what's the next step? What's the next step? Like, how do you get cleaner? And that's how I found out about the alkaline diet with like Dr. Sabi, raw veganism, all that stuff. I'd never heard of these things before. And ultimately, I was like super open about my explorations with herbology. And a friend sent me the mucus diet healing system. And I thought it was actually a bite. Like I thought it was Professor Spira, but I thought Spira was writing off of Dr. Sabi because Sabi was the one that was talking about mucusless foods and all this stuff. And so I bought the book, but I kept it to the side. I had a debilitating weed addiction at this time, and I ended up losing my job because of it. So I came home, brought all my books, and I read the Mucus Society Healing System in one day. It's like I gotta have it over here somewhere. It's really not that thick of a book, and it just blew my mind. But I didn't understand any of it. I understood there's foods that are obstruction forming, and there's foods that are
Mm-hmm.
not obstruction forming. So try
Mm-hmm.
to eat the foods that are not obstruction forming. So like a food list,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. And for the next like
Mm-hmm.
2 years, that's what I did. And then I wanted to do this project that had me read this book again. I was really impatient because, again, my nervous system was just shot from weeds. So I read the book in a day, didn't understand any of it. And it tells you to read one lesson. I think it's like 13 times. And I got to the 13th time and I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to read this lesson so slow. So I'd never have to read this again. I was so done with this book. And I was
Yeah.
managing a smoothie and juice bar at the time. So I sent everyone home early and it was like the strip mall, so there's like still people walking by, and it was small, so there's like this little desk, just one light, and I take out my backpack, I plop the book down, and I open it up to lesson five, and lesson five is called the formula of life, and it's just also the formula of death. So I sit there and I read this lesson slower than I've read anything in my life, like literally like word by word. It's just me in my workplace by like 8 p.m. And like the hairs on my arms started standing up, like my heart rate increased. I started sweating. I'm even sweating a little bit right now, like thinking about it. And it was just like what am I reading? Like this was a completely different take on the human body. And what
Yeah.
I realized is like the lens of physiology, the lens of nutrition, I didn't even treat it as a lens. I treated it as like reality. But
Mm,
what this book was showing me is there's observable reality. There's obviously someone is showing signs that they're not well,
right.
but then you could take a lens of nutrition and you'll interpret observable reality through that lens. So what
Right.
this book was giving me was a different lens. I didn't even know that was a thing. It's like the lens and observable reality were one. And so when I started looking things through a different lens, it was like, wait, this is like a way more complete model. And yeah, so lesson 5 changed my life. After that, I read the book every single night, like after work, that's all I did. And for like a year I practiced on my own, and I had some really bad struggles. Like I was studying you and your journey, and like food addiction was rough for me. It was terrible, especially the first summer. So after the first summer, I just kind of sat back and was like, man, I need to meet people that do this. I can't do this on my own. So I found the mucus free community, and I just started like hitting the Facebook group every day, just like if no one's talking, like I need someone to talk back to me. And eventually, Professor Spira, he has a mentee named Brady Lou, and Brady just reached out to me. I don't know what it is. We must have been brothers in a previous lifetime. We clicked like that. We haven't stopped talking to this day. This dude's my best friend. And we're like, oh man, we're like two peas in a pod.
That's
And
so
so,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. So he was my bridge to Professor Spira. It probably took like maybe 6 months before I started working with him because I had skills with video editing. I did video editing for years. And yeah, so I just took over the video production for Spira. And that's how I just learned under him. So for years, I just studied his videos, I studied marketing, all that stuff. And I studied the mucusless diet because Spira has an actual PhD. He's extremely intelligent, and he just taught me everything I knew. And so now I finally was like, okay, like I'll leave. I call it like the ashram. It's like we're monks up in the monastery just training. It's like, okay, I'm gonna leave and go deal with the world now. And so yeah, that's my story of how I
That's
met
so
him and
cool.
all that.
So are you like this you coming out and making all that, because I didn't see you before I saw the post that Aline Habib posted about, she did like a podcast with you. So is this like a new thing, you coming out and speaking about this, or you've been doing this for a while?
No, it's a pretty new thing. Last year I did it a little
Wow.
bit, but
Yeah.
I'd say like since like April I just doubled down. It was like this is what I'm supposed to do within our team. This is where my gifts
Yeah.
lie. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're coming across very passionate, very confident in what you're saying. So I know it's going to reach a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to be resonate with it. And you're saying it at a level that people can actually connect with, which is really helpful. Okay, so you said that you studied with Professor Spira, and then this teaching is based on Arnold Ehret.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you mentioned Professor Sabi or Dr. Sabi, and then like I know in like I watched another reel of yours, you were mentioning all these other people that you studied back in like 1800s.
Oh yeah.
So you read all their books too.
Yeah.
And this is the one that you like is really resonating.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is I pretty much went and studied like I said, lens of interpretation. I realized that nutrition is a lens of interpretation. I thought it was law. I thought it was like the law of the land. But then I realized it's like, oh no, this is a science. Like humans made this. Like the word protein is just a little over 200 years old. The concept of calories is like 100 and some like calories for the body is like 100 and something years old. And I was like, wait. How did this all start? So I went all the way back, like as far as I could, um, and I have like a whole lineage. It's not perfect, but it's around like 9 or 10 men, and it shows you how this concept of nutrition was built over the course of 100 years. between
Right.
like late 1700s to like early 1900s. And once that's laid, then you get vitamins, then you get the raw vegan movement, then you get
Now
then
we
you get
got
pretty much
supplements,
everything.
we've got peptides, we've got the biohacking industry, we've got red light, we've got all these things that help mitochondria and everything, right?
Exactly,
Like
exactly.
to see the evolution of it, that's very fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was really happening.
So you don't practice nutrition. Now, if you can explain what you mean by this, like you're saying like you don't follow the, the what they say we need, like proteins, calories, certain amount of carbohydrates. What does this mean exactly for someone who doesn't understand, because they're still like in this lens of nutrition?
Yeah, right. Because it's like, well, of course you practice nutrition. Like every food you eat, you're going to absorb the proteins, the calories. Like you don't get to choose not to do
We
that.
got the
And it's like,
pyramid, the
oh,
nutrition pyramid. We got the, society telling us one thing, doctors telling us. We got tons of diet books. We have all these conflicting things on the internet telling us what the right nutrition is, right?
right. Most people, when they make a decision of what to eat, they're focused on what am I supposed to add to my body? I don't ask that question. I don't interpret food that way. I'm focused on how do I eat and live in a way that supports my body in its efforts to eliminate unusable waste. Like if you look at my videos, I have ones with white text on a black background. My bio says they're repeated basic because I'm hammering home the same message every single time. So the thing is nutrition as a whole is a model that's centered around adding to the body. They
Okay.
believe that the body, oh, go ahead.
I have a question. I don't want to forget it.
No, go for it.
So you're talking about not adding, you're talking about eating in a way that helps your body to eliminate unwanted waste in your body. So what happens once all this waste is removed out of your body? When you eat, you're putting more waste in your body. So do we ever get to a point where we don't need to eat, or we always need to eat?
So yes, theoretically, theoretically, there comes a point where maybe eating solid food might not be in the picture.
Hmm.
That is really, really, really far away. And that is, I think that's a great question. And we can touch on it a little bit later once I explain this part. Because if we
Okay.
establish the foundation,
I just
I
wanted to
can
put it
explain
out
everything
there
else.
before I
Yeah.
forgot. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for example, if we look at an apple, right? Someone from nutrition is going to look at it and say like, well, this is how many calories it has, this is how much sugar it has, or carbs. This is how little protein it has, how little fat it has, vitamins, minerals, all this stuff. And it's like these are chemical food values that my body is going to absorb and use to produce better health because my body is inherently missing something, and these foods have the things that my body needs so that it can experience better health. That's like the most simple thing. Like nutrition is basically you're missing something and that's why you feel bad, or some
So
part of your
you need
body
all
is
these
damaged.
vitamins and minerals and everything in order for your body to function properly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, because they figured out all the chemicals that make up the body, all the chemistry that makes up the body. So now we just got to get that chemistry from outside of us.
And you're
Because that's
saying that our body already has everything that it needs and it will function properly with health and vitality, but we're obstructing it with this waste inside of our colon and our body that we
yeah,
need to get out. So once we get it out, the body will function exactly as it needs to.
yes, that's pretty much it. The simplest way I look at it is if you just eat and live in a way that supports the body in its efforts to eliminate unusable waste material, you'll do everything you need to live a healthy life. But your lens of interpretation for why your body feels the way that it feels when you're eating and living in this way needs to change. Because if
Mhm.
you're going to add the variable of accumulated waste in the body, you also need to understand how that waste affects how you feel in the short and in the long term. Like, for example, constipation, right? So, constipation is an obstruction of the digestive tract by accumulated unusable food material. There's this idea that the digestive process is way stronger than it is, in my opinion, when I look at just the general person's understanding of nutrition. They think the body can just digest and break down everything. If that were true,
A
constipation wouldn't
human
happen.
garbage disposal, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. So it's like
McDonald's, chips, soda, everything.
exactly. So that waste is sitting on the walls of the intestine. Where does the digestive tract lead to? It leads to the circulatory system. What flows through the
Mm.
circulatory system? The blood. Well, where does the blood flow? Through everything. So if you have pounds of like unusable waste material just going into the blood, how's that affecting how you think? How's that
Mm.
affecting how you feel in the short term and the long term? Now, if you eat a food which is a like an apple, which from our perspective, our lens of interpretation, we don't use the nutrition one, we just toss that to the side. Because again, it's theoretical, it's not law, so you can do that. So we put our lens and we go, okay, fruit, the chemistry of fruit juice, that's a loosening and dissolving agent. So that waste that's stuck on the walls of the intestines, it's going to loosen and dissolve it. Now it's mobile. Now it can move. This can be an issue because if you're really dirty and you loosen waste too fast, now that waste is going to go into circulation. So you're going to get more waste in your blood, in your lymphatic system for a short period of time as your body tries to get it out. You're
And
not
that's
going to
why
feel
people
good.
have detox symptoms and feel like it's not working, right?
Yeah, you're getting it. That's right. That's exactly it. Because they're taught that food is just supposed to make you feel good. You eat a steak,
Mm.
you feel better. You drink coffee, you feel better. You eat cheese, whatever, you feel better. But the issue is because this concept of waste is not a variable in the conversation, we're not asking, well, how do the residues affect the body? Because not all residues are going to make you feel bad. From our perspective, we see animal products, all of them, as stimulants. So
Mhm.
that what the type of waste they decay into stimulates the body. If you look deeper from our perspective, it's actually the nervous system going into a state of shock. And so it's trying to expel this waste as fast as it can before it finds its way into any vital centers where it could cause serious harm. So, from our perspective, when someone consumes an animal product and gets high and all happy and all that stuff, one,
Or they
they're
have the
stuck.
like the adrenaline, like they want to go work out because they have all this protein or something, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's one, it's a stimulant. So they're being
Mm.
stimulated. It's not their own body's actual energy. And two, you're stopping the process of waste removal. So the body's
Mm.
always trying to get rid of waste. And the more waste you have in circulation, the worse you're going to feel. So eating some of these foods actually stops that process altogether because the body focuses on dealing with this new poison and neutralizing it as much as it can before it goes back to adding more waste because you don't want to be loosening waste and have a new thing and that's really dangerous. So from our perspective at least, this is how the body functions. So this it's you get stimulated and the waste removal thing stops, so it makes you feel better. That's not but then it's like, oh, but that's the calories you needed, that's the vitamins and minerals you needed, that's the you see the lens of interpretation, it's
Right. So
completely
they're
different.
not feeling good because they're loosening the waste, so it's going into the bloodstream too fast. So they're kind of feeling they're feeling the effects of that, and then thinking, what do I need to add to the body to make me feel better from this symptom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, you're nailing it. You're getting it. But the thing is like when people take on our practice, if they haven't made the shift in the thinking, once they start to feel bad, almost automatically, they're just going to go back to the nutrition based way of thinking because they're not used to feeling bad. They're not used to feeling worse before they feel better. And like Allison said, elimination is the way. Like that's the key is you have to really ingrain in yourself that the body has waste in it and you have to learn how to start reading how that waste affects how you feel. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so the waste removal. I know that you guys recommend enemas. So if somebody were to switch their diet to a mucusless diet without doing enemas, would the waste still come out?
Yes. So the enemas and even the change of like a mucusless diet, all of that, all of that, how that stuff is used is determined on the person's own obstructions. So to answer your question first, yes, waste will be removed. There's many people in our community who start what's called the transition diet. So when people hear mucusless diet healing system, they latch onto the word diet because it's the most familiar word out of all the four things to like make sense of what we're tossing to them. But diet is interpreted as foods you're allowed to eat, foods you're not allowed to eat. Mucusless diet healing system isn't that. It's using less harmful obstruction removing foods to help you transition away from the most harmful obstruction forming foods. So what's a less harmful food for me is going to be different to someone in the audience. And
Mm,
so everyone's own menus are going to be different, but
mm,
everyone is going to be eating mainly foods which remove obstruction.
mhm,
How fast they're removing it and the types and all that stuff, that's completely unique to them. But once their diet is dialed in, they're getting the right food combinations, they're eating when they're supposed to, and they're eating the right quantities. Then when enemas come in, it's more of like helping the colon clear out waste, because you might have 20, 30, 40, 50 years of accumulated waste build up in the colon that you're dealing with. And it's not uncommon for people to start this practice and just in the beginning, maybe experience a little bit of trouble having bowel movements because all the waste is being loosened. So it's like you have the food and you have all this sticky stuff. And so the enemas just help get that stuff out in the beginning. But yeah.
mm, mhm. And then I saw a video the other day where you mentioned, or just today earlier, I don't know when you posted it, about natural beauty. And
Oh,
you said something like a good indication of that your diet is working or aligned is that your natural appearance gets better.
yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
totally agree, and I love that because I'm all about like enhancing our natural features, our natural beauty, and it's so true that underneath all the toxicity, we have like this glow about us. We have this, healthier skin, healthier eyes, healthier hair.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you completely. There's some texts by Professor Arnold Ehret, which are let's safe to say like too hot for the internet. And I was reading through some of them and I was basically sharing his perspective. He has this whole thing on beauty and where he really goes in on fashion. And his perspective is like fashion as we know it, especially he wrote this in the early 1900s, is basically to cover up the lack of health. So it's like, and I'm not going at anyone because I view fashion as a mode of self-expression. So I don't agree with all of it, but it's like the really really tight clothing that cuts off circulation. That was one of the things he was against because he's
Well,
like,
you
you
could
need
you
to
could
have.
say anything, right? You could say hairstyle could be to like try to cover up the fact that you're not healthy and glowing. Makeup, jewelry, like a lot of accessories, even though it is a form of expression, but it's like compensating for the fact that we don't feel confident in our skin. Could be.
Exactly. I mean, even like the teeth stuff, yeah, like people's teeth and needing work, just vanity pretty much. But anyway, yeah, in short, it's like as you become less obstructed, you're not going to smell bad. Your skin's going to look great. Your teeth are going to look great. You're not going to have bad breath. Your hair will change. Like so much the body will change because so much of the lack of beauty is truly just like a lack of health. Like the more
Hmm.
healthy someone is, the more attractive they are.
Hmm.
In my
In
opinion,
my
it's
opinion,
not
too.
something to
Yeah, no,
fake.
I know from personal experience that when I went through my transformation of cleaning my diet, I've been doing, gosh, enemas for the past 20 years. I've fasted, and so I've seen like big improvements in my natural appearance. So tell me, what other benefits or things have you noticed since you started? I know you said you had the big weed problem and the probably had the mental clarity, but like what else since you started changing your diet and started living this lifestyle have you noticed about not just your physical health but mental, maybe relationships, your purpose? Like what in your life has just transformed from switching to this lifestyle?
I think the best thing is I got a better relationship with my body, and I was actually able to start hearing it. The lens of interpretation that nutrition gives for hearing the body, I don't think is a very accurate one. It might be accurate at some points, but the lens of interpretation that the mucusless diet healing system gave made me feel like like I was actually listening to my body for the first time. And so what this did is at first it started to guide me with food. It became I didn't need to look outward anymore for what I needed to eat. Like everything that I craved was exactly what I needed. It took some time for me to overcome certain addictions to food, so my decision making became better. But then I noticed that it started to extend towards people. It was like, don't talk to that person. Like that's not a good person. Or don't or talk to this person. That's a good person. And at first, I was very doubtful of this because it kind of caught me off guard. And then as I joined the community, I heard about this concept of the body intelligence. So it's like you have the mind voice, you have the intuition, and then this third voice comes on of the body intelligence. And so to me, that's been the biggest thing because it just keeps getting more and more um, loud is the best word to put it. And it's like really tapping into like when you look at animals and how they're able to like navigate and migrate just on their own, like you don't have a compass, like we have all this technology, like how do you guys find this stuff? It's like
We can't
that.
make our way down. We can't find, the grocery store down the street without our.
Exactly. It's like that inherent like compass and
Yeah.
intelligence.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
just tap into it. And to me, that's been the biggest thing because this is it's kind of a destruction process in the sense of when you come off of the stimulant because you've just been eating stimulating foods your entire life, so much of your life kind of falls apart for a second because like the
Mm.
ambitions you had were stimulant driven, a lot of relationships you had were just centered around eating stimulating foods. Just so much of it just kind of goes away overnight, and then you kind of have to rebuild. And so that body intelligence was the guide for rebuilding. And now I just feel like I have everything that I need, like all of the time. Any information I need for the thing I need to go do, I just receive what I'm supposed to go do. And to
Yeah.
me, that's more than enough. I don't need the big picture. And I feel very comfortable in my body, which is something that I just don't see very much. Like most people are in pain to some degree inside their body, in pain to some degree inside their mind. And I'm not going to act like I'm not. I definitely am at times, but it's like it's nothing compared to what I was at before. So definitely
Right.
the best benefits I've received.
Right. Um,
Got the lean.
I want to just mention, I want to talk about mucoid plaque for a second because some people say mucoid plaque doesn't exist, and then some people say it does exist and you need to do like a long water fast to get it out. And then other people say you have to do like a 40-day juice cleanse with bentonite clay and psyllium husk to remove the mucoid plaque. What do you have to say about all that?
First off, what's up, Aline? And second,
Yeah, yeah. Hey there.
there's a video I've watched. I'm forgetting the man's name, but he's blonde and he's a raw vegan. He has been a raw vegan for a long time. It was basically debunking mucoid plaque, and he does it with Dr. Graham. I don't know if you
I
know
know
the
who
name.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. So I watched that video and that was fascinating because he went to different, I think they're called gastrologists, and they're like, yeah, we looked at the digestive tract and there's nothing there. And then you look at the book, Professor Arnold Ehret, and he says that, oh, thank you, Celine. And he says the people that passed away, they did autopsies on their colons and they found fecal stones, they found worms, it was a cesspool. So you literally have one person says it was here 100 years ago, and you have another person saying in modern day it's not there. They never found mucoid plaque. So I actually, my good friend Brady brought one of the most interesting perspectives I've ever heard. So we have this concept of body types in the mucusless diet healing system, where you have a body that's really obstructed by this mucus-like slime, not the mucus of the mucous membrane, but it's like these foods decay into this sticky mucus-like slime, and then harmful acids. And so I'm more of the mucus like slime person. Like I looked fat before. And so you look at it, it's like it's all this like pudgy stuff. You know, my belly had like all this water weight. And what you see is that the body has this permeation ability. Like waste is it's very easy for stuff to move around the body. And so Eric describes fats as like partially decayed, like watery flesh, like just very mucousy and sticky. And Brady was watching autopsy videos where it's like when you look at the organs, when you look at the other parts of the body of certain people, they're all like weak and just full of what looks like this like white mush, just like all this mucus. But their digestive tracts they're not clean. They still have fecal matter in it, but you don't see the mucoid plaque. And so what we started to theorize is, yeah, I believe mucoid plaque is real. Don't get me wrong. I've seen too much stuff leave. I don't use cleansing kits at all. I don't use the psyllium husk, none of that. Um, what I was thinking is maybe as you start to loosen and dissolve waste, the body starts to press it out into the digestive tract. It accumulates, and then you can expel it. But that's only explaining some of it because Professor Spira eliminated the like black tar, nasty stuff.
So
I
he
believe
did
in a
that with no psyllium husk or bentonite clay. So the theory of when people say, oh, when you're removing, because the people in 40-day juice fast are saying all of that strings together is basically the psyllium husk and bentonite clay clumped to waste coming out. It's like, that's what it is. So it's all in your organs for sure. Yeah. Okay. So keep going. I just wanted to mention that.
No, yeah, that's the thing is that assumes that we're using that. And it's like, well, in our community, no, like almost we don't ever really recommend that, like ever. So
Yeah.
that argument kind of goes out the door. And then the other thing you have to ask is like, well, look at someone that has a really big belly. Like they're obviously retaining a lot of food. What
Right.
is the nature of that food? Is it decaying down to a mucus-like slime? If that food's inside of their body for a week, like some people really retain onto fecal matter for a long time, and I hate to say that word, but like what's that doing to the walls of the intestine? Is that waste accumulating? Is it hardening? Like we have this concept of fecal stones. So there is this accumulation and hardening of waste. So I think those arguments of like it's the psyllium husk and stuff like that, I don't think they're very solid. And then people that say you can cleanse things out in 40 days, I also don't agree with that. Because the Look, I've done thousands of enemas, like literally thousands of enemas. In my first year, I was really into measuring. And in 1 month, I eliminated 32 feet of mucoid plaque. So that's enough to go from one end to the other. That's my first year. I have eliminated so much more since then. So I don't know how dirty the body is. I don't know
Well,
how much
how do
waste
you
is
know? Because you're
accumulated,
not
but
fasting. So how do you know that what you're eliminating isn't also what you're would naturally eliminate from eating? Like, how do you know what is bowel movement from current food compared to loosening waste that's in the colon and the intestines?
I'll give you my lens of interpretation is so when I eat, I see the nature of I see the mucoid, what I would call mucoid plaque and what it looks like. And I'm like, okay, that to me is the mucoid plaque everyone talks about. But then I'll do a fast, and like one of my longest fasts was like 2 weeks, and I'll still see stuff that looks the exact same leave. And this stuff wasn't leaving when I was eating vegan, when I was eating the takeout vegan, when I was eating what we'd call pus and mucus forming foods, when I was eating steak, when I was eating cheese, when I was eating eggs. It only started to come out when I started eating in a way, from our perspective, that is loosening and dissolving accumulated waste and carrying it out. So to me, that's why I would say that it is this accumulated waste, is because it started to come out when I started eating that way. And even when I fast and I'm not inputting food, it's still coming out and it still looks the same. It still acts the same. And yeah, that's why I would say that mucoid plaques exist. And yeah.
Okay, question. So I'm vegan and I don't eat animal products, but there's just, this carnivore diet thing going around, and a lot of them say when you only eat like meat with nothing else, it's bioavailable, and then they say they don't go to the bathroom for weeks, and they say it's because their body's absorbing every ounce of the meat.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
agree with
even
that.
care if I'm offending anybody watching right now because that just sounds ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Um, yeah, so meat is like notoriously not good for producing the necessary bulk to have a bowel movement.
Right,
So all I'm seeing is like you're just accumulating it. You're not
right.
really eliminating it. And again, it's this idea of just overestimating the digestive qualities, the digestive process. So you really think every ounce of the meat is being absorbed into the body and being assimilated. And now I'm not
Which
going to
doesn't
speak
matter.
on it.
That doesn't make sense because animals in the wild that only eat other dead animals still go to the bathroom probably every day, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't make sense. And I have to
Like a
I've done
lion, a
studies.
lion's not gonna go like 3 weeks without going to the bathroom
Right, right.
after eating a zebra, right?
Right, exactly. And even to that, when you look, I've looked at lions and how they eat. They go for the gut. So they're not like, yeah, they're eating meat, but they're eating the, I'm gonna say it nicely, like the digested vegetables inside of the herbivore that they're going after.
Wow.
So they go there
They do
first.
go for the gut. I've never thought about that. They're not eating what we eat or what humans eat, right?
No, but you don't hear him talking.
Wow.
You don't hear him talking about that.
That's
But
interesting. That's an interesting lens of would you say lens of
interpretation, yeah,
interpretation? I
yeah.
love
And big
it.
shout out to Spira. He put me on. Yeah, he put me on to that. He showed me the videos, and it's like, holy, you're not lying. Yeah, this is crazy. So yeah,
Whoa, wow, that's fascinating. Okay,
yeah.
anything that we didn't discuss? Well, okay, I have one last thing. So and I'm not saying we have to end it. We can, if you have to go, we can go. If you want to
I
stay,
don't
we can
know.
stay. Okay, so the thing with the pus and mucus forming foods is
Mhm.
the biggest thing eliminating animal products. Is that like the main part? And then, the other ones that are like, vegetables that are kind of mucus forming are okay, but like you really just want to get those animal products out as fast as possible. And
Yeah. So
processed food as well.
yeah, yeah. So us forming foods are animal foods, whether it be land, air, or sea. Those are the first things that we try to get out of someone's diet. Interesting enough, if someone is like really, really deep into it, like Professor Spira when he first started, Professor Arnold Ehret does actually recommend the use of some pus forming foods, specifically cottage cheese, mainly because it eliminates from the body really easily. When he says to use it, he's not saying to use it forever, and it's
Mm,
literally like maybe the first like few months just to get you off of like cheese pizza, and you, even then you don't need to use it. It's just like, hey, if you eat this in a very, very specific way, it'll allow you to transition off of the worst pus forming foods. But the interesting thing is, as you get clean, your body will just knock you off of this stuff. So Spira, he was able to use the cottage cheese for like 6 months, and then he described it as like a knife inside of his stomach, and he was done. He was done.
wow.
And so it wasn't even his choice. And so after that, then you go into mucus forming foods. So those are plant-based fats, so like olives, nuts, seeds, oils, all that stuff, and then starches. So beans, all grains, rice, bread, all of that stuff. Pastas,
I'm
egg-free
really
pastas.
curious. My husband eats tahini every single day. Is
Uh-huh.
tahini mucus forming?
Yeah, so that would be sesame seeds, so a plant-based fat. I love tahini. I used to use it a lot for a salad dressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay. Keep going. So tell me what the lists are.
yeah, no, you're good. So that's so those are the usable, what we call mucus forming foods, but we're not eating them for nutrition. Their use case is they slow down the elimination process. So if it's going too fast, let's say like someone's doing all fruit or something like that, you're loosening and dissolving waste incredibly fast. A lot of waste in circulation, you don't feel good. You eat some mucus forming food in a very specific way, and you'll ground yourself. You'll slow down the elimination process. Your body will chill out. Your mind will chill out. And so, how you use them is you combine them with vegetables, because these foods are still harmful. They're just way less harmful than animal products. So,
Right.
if you eat
So
like
like
three
having
to
like an avocado is still like maybe mucus forming, right? But then having it with that. Okay. Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, no,
understand.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
you nailed it. That's
Okay.
like for example, my favorite mucus forming food right now is pumpkin seeds blended into a dressing. So
Mhm.
I will, but I don't just eat that. Like I don't just like drink that blended smoothie thing. I'm like, oh, I like what I do is I always combine everything with raw vegetables, like 3 to 4 times the amount, because raw vegetables are largely indigestible. So you're not going to assimilate. It's not going to become your body. They're going to pass through you. You eat a
Right.
carrot, you see the carrot leave. You eat kale, you see the kale leave. So that's letting you know that it's just going to be a fibrous bulk. And that's good. That's going to produce a bowel movement. So you add in whatever mucus forming food you're eating with your salad, and it'll just pass through your body a lot more quickly than if you were to eat it alone. So there's less time for that food to stay inside your body. We recognize them as being indigestible. So
Mm.
so what people call digestion for these foods is really just the food like decaying inside of you. And from our perspective, because they say it's like, well, the stuff goes into your blood, it gets absorbed. Our perspective is, well, the body does that anyway. You could consume a poison and it would get absorbed into your bloodstream. That's not really
You put
saying the
something on
body
your
wanted it
skin.
there.
'Cause
Exactly. Like, did the body
it-
want it there? Did it need it? Is it healthy? Like, absorption doesn't really prove that much. So, you want the food to just leave as quickly as possible before it decays and it leaves behind a lot of waste. So, Yeah, they have their use cases. Pretty much everyone in our community uses them to some degree, but how
Yeah.
much and which
Yeah.
ones they use completely varies from person to person.
Okay, and I want to know the difference. Like, how would somebody be able to tell the difference between when they need to, you know, bring in a mucus forming food in a very conscious, certain way, as opposed to them their mind, their food addiction kind of negotiating with themselves, like, well, I think I, just like need this for this, but like really like it's just their mental addiction or emotional addiction or, um, how do you guys handle addictions without overeating mucus forming foods?
That's a fantastic question. So we have addiction and relapse built into the mucusless diet healing system. And Spira has done an amazing job at expanding upon that. So what he did is he created this 4-part series, which basically went through like the curriculum of like Alcoholics Anonymous. And it covers, addiction relapse, addiction triggers, environmental triggers, relapse triggers, like all of these concepts. And what he did is he oriented it towards these consuming these custom mucus forming foods. Like, for example, if anyone here has struggled with food addiction or even a drug, you crave it. Like you're throughout your day, you might get stressed, and there's just like, man, I'm so stressed today. I can't wait to go home, smoke a little bit, and eat this junk food. And that's what you start looking forward to, this anticipation and
Mhm.
anticipation towards a thing. And now it's like, oh, now you feel better. Now it comes time for the thing. And there's the ritual of preparing the thing, whether it's rolling up the joint or putting the pizza in the oven, putting on the TV and chilling. It's like, here we
Ooh, we're getting
go.
cozy. It's movie time.
Yeah, you get exactly. And then
Yeah.
and then you eat it and it's like this, or you smoke it, whatever the heck, and it's this period of a high. It's like this insane bliss for a little bit, and then you feel like crap. And
Right.
then the cycle starts over again. So
Right.
Spira, during a phone conversation, he was like, man, I just realized that like the same cycle I'd go through with weed or nicotine or whatever, I was going through with these foods. And so that's where he's like, no, these things need to be treated like a drug. So he created this 4-part series. It covers pretty much everything. So it's definitely like an internal thing, but you start to learn like when is the process of elimination going too fast and my body's asking to slow things down
Right.
versus what I call this, I call it like mucus corruption. In the first few years, you can't really trust your intuition because it's still stuck on some of the most addictive things ever. So you need to use your intellect to be like, no, I don't think intuitively I need to go eat a burger. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like, good cop,
exactly.
bad cop. Yeah, the angel
Yeah,
and the
yeah, you
devil.
got
I don't want to listen to you.
exactly. It's like you gotta use the sharpened reason to kind of to fix things. But yeah, like I said, it's you kind of realize, well, I don't really need a burger. Um, that doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna eat so I'm not gonna do that. But other times it's like, well, I've been eating only fruit for 2 or 3 days. Maybe I need a little bit of pumpkin seed dressing with my salad to slow things down. I don't need to overeat on it, but let me just slow things down.
But what
So,
about for the person who does overeat, who has actual, like, okay, for me, food
mhm.
addiction, I have to be very careful because even adding like one trigger food that maybe could be a mucus forming food, even with intention, could be a gateway for me to relapse like way in the opposite direction.
Yeah. No, and I know that. I'm Mr. Binge Eater. That took me
I
like
I
four
am
years to
like, this
overcome.
is binge queen over here. Yeah.
There are two representatives, the proper. That's funny. So within the mucusless diet, when you eat vegetables and when you eat mucus forming foods, you eat them in a very specific way. So first, you have, if you're going to eat mucus, you should at least have raw vegetables that are mucus free and then cooked vegetables which are mucus free. So you have a lot of your meal is mucus free and then you have the mucus forming item. So the largest quantity of what you eat is your salad. You could have a dressing and it could be a mucus forming dressing. But really what you're looking for is like, can I ask what food was one of your favorites in the past? If not, I can share one of mine if you don't want to.
Well, I mean, it depends because like I realize I'll go from like eating super clean raw to vegan junk food.
So like
Like
yeah, yeah.
I'll have like periods where like I'm eating very clean, and I'm still incorporating some mucus forming foods like maybe avocado or hemp seed or something like that. But then something can happen like, I don't know, my teenage daughter stresses me out, or I have a long car ride day, or something happens, or I just walk into a grocery store and I completely forget what I'm doing. And I'm like, ooh, this looks good, you know, and I make like avocado toast, or I get like a buffalo sauce. It's vegan, you know, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like
yeah.
doing like these, like, you know, these stimulating, you know, cooked vegan junk food type things, you know? So it's like,
Let's
I
take the
can't even,
buffalo wings. Like
what?
the buffalo one. You said it was like buffalo wings, right?
Sauce, no, buffalo sauce. Yeah,
Oh, the buffalo
I don't
sauce.
need to, I don't eat any animal products. I mean, if
Oh, like
I,
the cauliflower ones I meant. Yeah, I know you're
oh
good. You're
yeah, I go to
past
the
that.
health, if I go to the health food store and I see those buffalo cauliflower wings or buffalo, you know what I mean? Like I'm done for, you know, because it's like, it's so hard for me to say no, you know, even if I'm like eating super clean for like a long stretch of time, something could trigger in my brain. It's not physical, because like, I've gone periods where I was eating like fully raw for like, you know, 2 years straight. And then, you know, like some kind of life circumstance happens. And then I'm like going and running to like bread or, you know, like just some kind of vegan junk food. And then once I start, I can't stop. And then it just
Okay.
becomes like this spiral, you know?
So, like one of my favorites was mac and cheese. Vegan
Okay.
mac and cheese. I miss mac and cheese like crazy. So that was a rough one. So let's say like the mucus that we choose is like mac and cheese and maybe like even like a little piece of bread to the side. I love the toast. That was like my favorite. So that stuff would be like the smallest quantity of everything else that you've eaten. You'll have maybe like a big thing of like steamed zucchini, baked zucchini, and then an even bigger thing of vegetables. So to make sure that you satisfy the craving so you're not just like ravenous later, but to keep you from going absolutely crazy on it, the first thing you would do is you'd eat half of the raw salad with the dressing and make it a salad you like actually want to eat, something you actually like and enjoy. You eat
Okay.
half of that. Then once you're halfway done with that, you start incorporating bites of the cooked vegetables. So it's like maybe a bite or two of the salad, maybe like 3 or 4 bites of the baked zucchini, boom, boom, boom. And once you're like 3/4 of the way through the salad, then you start to eat some of the mucus forming item. So you've already created this bed of indigestible fiber in the
And
stomach.
what is the mucus forming food? It would be mac and cheese for you, or that's like a no-go?
This is like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have vegan mac and cheese. That was like a thing that I wanted to, a
So
thing that I had
you
to
would
eat
like
my way
limit
through.
like how many bites you would allow yourself to have as long as you're eating it with the salad, so that, but okay.
So I would make it this the smallest quantity of my meal. Sometimes
Okay.
I'd make the whole package, but if I made the whole thing, that means I needed a larger portion of cooked vegetables and an even larger portion of raw vegetables. So it was like you could like if you're gonna eat the mucus, you better be eating way more veggies. So I would start to be like, well, I can't eat that much, and it's gonna take a
Wow.
while before I can get to the mucus. So I was like, okay,
Right.
let me eat a little bit less. And I actually enjoy my salad. So it's not that I only want the mac and cheese. It's just, and like she said zucchini Alfredo. Yeah, that thing was awesome. Oh man, that stuff was so good. But it's like I would just make more vegetables because the whole thing is you just don't want that mucus forming food to stay inside you for a long time. You want it to get out, but you also want to be achieving satiation. We say how fast the meal leaves you is just as is the most important thing. The second most important thing is how satiating the meal is. Most of the world has
Mhm.
it flipped. It's how satiating
Mhm.
is the meal, and then we'll think about if it leaves me later. And that's where you get, it's okay to just eat fast food. It's okay it doesn't matter how you eat things. It doesn't matter food combination. It doesn't matter the quantities you eat. Just eat what you enjoy. And we're saying do that, but just make sure it leaves you. So does that answer your question? I don't know if I hit
Yeah,
it
I
there.
just, for me, like addiction is not always just physical, you know, because it's like you said, you have like this drug-like effect, right? So it's stimulating to the point where sometimes it's not just craving as in like this, you know, physical of like getting that drug, the drug when you're coming off of a drug, right? But sometimes it's just stress, and it's like your nervous system needs that, like, you know, because it's like sometimes people, like, okay, let's say my aunt, for example, right? She had cancer, and for 15 years she was battling with cancer. Me and my mom, we went vegan, we went raw, we started juicing, we started doing enemas, we started fasting. We shared all this information with her, and no matter how we were transforming, like she could see our transformation, she still just could not make the change. And then she ended up dying from cancer. She never could change her diet. You know what I mean? So
I'm sorry to
I
hear that,
feel
yeah.
like there's food addiction, but then there's like real food addiction, like people who are like really addicted to food. I'm just trying to think of like how that would work. I'm thinking in terms of myself, because I've been struggling with food addiction for so long. I've literally done everything. I've been doing enemas my whole life. I've done 40-day juice cleanse. I've gotten rid of mucoid plaque. I've done, you know what I mean? I've done everything, and my food addiction still is not gone.
So from our perspective, it has to also, and you already hit it, you already said it, it's this mental addiction thing. So we recognize that. And we have certain systems of non-physical waste removal that needs to be paired with the diet, which is focused on physical waste removal. And so you have to kind of hit it from different angles, and you can go as intense or as gentle as you want.
Hmm.
But like for me with meat, what I used to do is I used to just pray and thank the animal every time that I ate it. And there's just so many times you can pray and thank an animal for dying before me, as more of an empathetic person, before I was just like, I got to be done with it. For some people,
Right.
that's not it. For some people, it's, man, my mama used to make this for me when I was growing up. I can't let
Exactly.
go of this.
Yeah.
She passed.
Right.
This is the only flavor like that
Right.
reminds me of her, makes her feel close. And so
Right.
you have to eliminate that. But there's also the physical addiction part of it. And so from what I've seen time and time and time and time again with our community is once you get the physical and non-physical waste out, the body literally like it hurts too much to go back. You can go back, but the pain is so intense that
Yeah.
it's like it's over. Like for me, one of my things was hummus. I love hummus. I love creamy things like, oh my gosh. And I remember there was this incident. I've earned the nickname Hummus Boy with a generation of our community, because my body started to reject hummus. I became so clean it stopped digesting, and so
Wow.
one
Yeah.
day I ate it, and it came out. Like my body was like, I cannot do this anymore. I can't even digest anymore. You're
See,
done.
I've
You're
had
done with
that
this food.
feeling 1,000 times, and I just ignore it.
No, like did you throw up?
I've had to make myself throw up because I felt so sick before, or I would be like on the floor in stomach pain, but it's
Oh
like
wow.
that wasn't enough for me. It wasn't
Mm.
enough. So I was gonna say something. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Okay, finish saying what you were gonna say, and then I'll see if it comes back.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Like she said, the community, yeah, community support's also a really, really big thing too. It's just having people that can relate to your
Oh, that's
problems.
what I was gonna say. So so over the past 20 years, when I relapse now, it looks nothing like from what my diet was 20 years ago.
Mm.
So if you look over the long haul of 20 years, my diet is so much cleaner, my body's so much cleaner, my mental discipline is so much better. But it's like, oh, someone said hi from UK.
Hey, Marshall.
So it's like, I'll move forward and then take 2 steps back, move forward, take a few steps. But then eventually over the course of 20 years, I have way more discipline. Like I would never ever run to, eating like a animal based cake, or like pizza with cheese on it, or like I would never, like I have that discipline. So I think it's like when it comes to the vegan foods, knowing that there's no animal products in it, you know?
That helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it helps, but it's like it's also makes it harder to give up, because it's like it's easy to say, oh, I don't want to eat animal products anymore. But then when you have like the version of it that it's vegan, and it's so-called even, okay, forget cooked vegan, forget that. Let's go into raw food gourmet with the nuts and the salt and the oils, right? Let's go into something like this, because this could be labeled as very healthy, very clean diet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even something like that could be mucus forming and feeding addiction, because we're like, putting all this effort with all these ingredients to try to make something that we're just kind of taking the addiction from like, one step and then bringing it into raw veganism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, we're saying like you can have it. Just eat it correctly. Like just eat it with the vegetables, eat it with the
Okay.
cooked vegetables,
Okay.
and stay on top of your enemas, stay on top of your practice. And like I said, the thing that I've seen in our community, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't spend much time in other communities, so I can't really speak to them. But the thing I see time and time again is the body just ultimately kicks them off of it. Whether it usually takes around like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe sometimes a little bit longer. But
Mm-hmm.
with the method, that has been like just a consistent thing. And within our community, like I was known for just eating my way through everything. A lot of people fast through stuff.
Right.
I will eat my way through every craving because I just like food. So
Okay.
those foods are the raw vegan gourmet. It's like, yeah, you can do it. We had someone was making these beautiful raw vegan pizzas, but then right next to the pizza, there's an even bigger salad, and it's like, there you go. Like that's go crush it, go have fun, and as long as it
Um,
eliminates well, like it's no harm. But the thing is like if it doesn't eliminate well, now we got to have a conversation if you really should use this. Because if you eat it and you don't have a bowel movement for a day, 2 days, it's like wait. That satiated you, but it's not eliminating, and it's very addictive. So that's you
right.
got to watch out for those things. And so it's like, well, find something that's a little bit less harmful, and like maybe add a little less salt. Maybe use almond flour tortillas instead of whatever you created. Maybe, just like switch it around until you find something that satiates you, eliminates well, and is not that addictive. Like you can stop eating it pretty easily.
So if you eat the large salad, you're like, if you have a portion of this, then you have to eat like an even bigger salad and even more cooked vegetables. Okay, so our stomach is like this big, right? So if we're just
Right.
like eating all this food to satisfy this craving, um, is that overeating going to also obstruct elimination?
So
Even if it's part of the plan?
yeah. So what's up, Spira? So like
Hey.
for example, my mama, she practices and she eats the smallest amount I've ever seen anyone eat. So she doesn't really eat a tremendous amount of the vegetables. I'm way different. I'll eat a lot. The difference why I'm okay with it is because it's not an obstruction forming food. Like if I eat a salad of kale, celery, and carrot, and I massage it and I put lemon juice and I put my little seasonings on it, that peace, love, and breath. To me, it's like, well, that's not going to decay into a mucus like slime. I'm not for overeating all the time, 24/7, but I know that the vegetables are going to be significantly less harmful than almost anything else that I'm going to eat. And then if I eat a baked zucchini, which would be like my cooked vegetable, that's going to be significantly less harmful than eating, like one of my favorite things was like vegan pad thai, which was it was cooked food. But it's like these options are way less harmful. So even though you're eating in larger amounts, for where I was and where my binge eating habits were, that's what I needed to do because I was going to eat a lot regardless. Like there was no mental logic stuff that was going to stop me. I just needed to work my way through that.
Do
So
you
I
find
was
yourself
always,
eating a lot less now?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
eat like half to a third of what I still eat a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I eat like half to a third of what I used to eat. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway. Is there anything that we did not discuss that you think is very relevant that you would like to talk about?
Man, I was just curious about yeah, a little bit your story with the addiction because you talked about like your journey from my studies started when like after you became a mother. And that it seemed like there was like a dip during that time in the emotions and am I understanding that right? Is that where this started for you?
So it started when my aunt got cancer. That's when my mom and I
Okay.
we went plant-based or we went vegan because we were still eating a junk food vegan diet at the time. We were still eating like the vegan Alfredo pasta and things like that. We weren't. I didn't even know what a green smoothie was at the time. So we went to a vegan diet. We did buy a juicer. We did start fasting, and I've been doing that since I was like 18. I've been doing like enemas as long as I can remember.
Wow.
So anyways, that became my recovery when I would relapse. So I would relapse back to, standard American diet. I'd go from vegan to standard American diet. And I never ate meat. It was always just dairy or pizza or, whatever, things like that, right? Like junk food. Never was into meat. But then what I would do is I would cleanse after. I would fast, I would juice, I would do enemas. And this was like helping me manage my food addiction. So for the past 20 years, I've had amazing transformations. My body looked amazing, but like secretly behind the scenes, I was yo-yoing back and forth this whole time,
Yeah.
even when I went raw and I gave up animal products completely. I went from raw fruitarian back to cooked junk food vegan, right? Or even cleaner cooked food, but still cooked food nonetheless. And I just kept going from one extreme to the other. And then, just feeling the effects of that. But when I got pregnant, my ex-husband was not, into health or anything like that. So I was like living with him, and I gained like 60 pounds with my son, or 50 pounds, and then 60 pounds with my daughter. And when I was pregnant, I just used it as this excuse to eat whatever I wanted. I was eating ice cream and whatever. So I gained all this weight, and I was so beautiful. I was so beautiful in my youth, And then after I had my second child, I just was so inflamed. I was so big. I was my energy, my mood, just all my brain fog came back after I, after I went vegan the first time. So I was like, okay, I saw Dr. Furman on TV, and I was like, I'm going to go back to eating plant-based. So I bought his book. I learned what a green smoothie was. I started eating lots of steamed greens and salads and everything. It's a little different from you guys because he talks about beans and stuff like that. But anyways, nonetheless, I did that. I lost 20 pounds in the first, 6 weeks or whatever. I think I lost 8 pounds the first week by cutting salt out of my diet. That was the first time I ever stopped
Wow.
eating salt. I lost 8 pounds in the first week. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, I cannot believe how much water weight I was holding on to. So that was huge for me. And then I found it at Larkin's. I found out about the raw vegan, but it was all like gourmet raw stuff. And then, I still never really got to the addiction. So when I went raw, I was like, well, I could eat whatever I want as long as it's raw. And I was spending 24 hours making raw vegan pizzas and raw vegan
Yeah.
granola bars. And I'm trying to figure out how to make a raw vegan peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I was just trying to replicate all these addictive foods. And I'm having all these cravings. And I'm I had already threw everything out, and I covered the stove, I threw the microwave out, and I was just I'm not eating any cooked food anymore. But it was fine while my husband was deployed, and I did that for 9 months. I ate raw. And then my ex-husband came home from deployment, and we went to Vegas, and then I was like, oh, they have all this amazing food here, and I had pizza and everything. So then I struggled again trying to get back to eating raw. So I just kept yo-yoing back and forth. I'd do raw for a couple months, and then something would happen. I'd go to a party, and they'd have a bread and spinach dip or something, and I just couldn't say no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then once I had the taste of it, I was done for. I was done. I was like, what's the next thing I can get? I'm at the store, I'm getting this, I'm baking cakes, I'm doing all this stuff, right? So I just kept yo-yoing back and forth. And then I moved to LA. I got a job at a raw vegan restaurant. I went back to eating raw, and then I ended up going fruitarian. And I did I also did I did nothing but juice for a few months, had this amazing transformation. And I was also doing enemas and fasting while I was doing this. And I wouldn't even call it a juice cleanse. I was just drinking juice. It was almost like I was like, oh, I want to be like a liquidarian and get to a breatharian kind of thing. I was just kind of living that life. Right. And then I, went to what happened after that. Oh, then I got a job at it was during COVID, lost my job, had to get another job at a vegan cooked vegan restaurant. and they gave free food. It was like they had like these, you know, it was alkaline food by Dr. Sadie. So they had like these alkaline
Okay.
quesadillas and things like that, but it was all fried, you know?
Yeah.
So I ended up like, you know, going back to cooked vegan food because I was working, getting free food at this place, and they'd make like, you know, not clam chowder. It was kind of like a chowder, but made with chickpeas, called chickpea chowder, you know? So like all these things, like I would just like eat them all, right? Whatever. And then I started my meetup group here in LA. I wanted to get back to eating raw. So I started the meetup group, and having that community like really, really helped, really inspired me. So then I went raw again for like another 2 years straight, mostly fruitarian. And then I had another life circumstance happen, and I went back to cooked food, and I put 40 pounds on this past, like, not this year, but the year before, I put 40 pounds on. So I'm finally like losing that weight, and really just coming like head on with where is this addiction coming from? Getting to the root, getting to the, you know, the, like the core root of my addiction. So then I just put this book out. It was in the bundle. It's called Diary of a Recovering Food Addict, which is